Hello, guys. It's me, that divination witch. I hope you're doing well. This is a new series. I am starting a podcast. This is at the behest of Hecate herself. She wants me to speak with different spiritual people, not just witches, but people who are on a spiritual journey, and to chat, basically, to get to know more about different walks of life, different backgrounds, religions, beliefs, because Hecate herself is very misunderstood, and that's why I have my channel. I talk a lot about her, as you know, if you're not new here. That is something I talk about a lot on here is Hecate. She's often labeled as this dark, scary goddess. And although she can be, she isn't just that. She's everything. And, I love her very much. And so does this lady who's going to be joining me today. Uh, but this is episode 1. And I hope you stick around. I hope you give it a chance and hit subscribe, all that good stuff. I do have a Patreon. I've got an Etsy, all of that. If you would like to support the channel and the podcast further, it's linked below. If not, just letting me know your thoughts is great. Hello, Lauren, my friend. This is
Hello.
Lauren. Or you go by the Laurel, don't you? So,
hmm
from my point of view, I'll just explain. So, me and Lauren are friends now, but we met because of Hecate. She brought us together. That's our common theme. We're both witches, and Hecate brought Lauren to me originally a year or two ago, wasn't it? For a reading, and then from there we've become really good friends over time.
hmm
Uh, and I really feel like she does this in general. I've said this on my YouTube channel a lot, how Hecate can bring people into your life that you need to find for whatever reason. And I think, yeah, that's what happened with us too.
hmm
So, Lauren, do you want to talk a little bit about your practice so we know you're a Hecatean witch? Because, spoiler, I've just spilled my beans there. uh, but what is your story? How did you get started in general? Like, were you always a witch? What's the tea? Let us know what's going on.
Okay. I'm a bit on the spot here. I wasn't expecting this. I
That
am
she
not.
says that.
I am
She
not
says that.
prepared for this at all.
Mm.
So, I had my first spiritual awakening when I was 16 years old. I'm 34 now, so it's
Oh,
been
she's
quite
getting on.
some.
Sorry.
Yeah,
Mm.
I'll be hitting my crone era soon. No,
I'm
I'm
older than
playing.
you, so
Only a few months. But I had my first spiritual awakening when I was 16. I do come from a long line of very spiritual people. My aunt was a high priestess, my nan was a psychic, her sister was a medium that worked on platform, and their brother was a healer, a hands-on healer. So when I was 16, although I'd had experiences before, I started seeing things in the night. I would be woken up by spirits. And if I'm honest, it was a really scary experience for me. So that's how it started. First, I thought I was losing my mind, if I'm honest. And then the more I looked into it, because these people had either passed on or had stopped practicing by the time I got to this age. So I had nobody to turn to, and I didn't know this at the time. So I just thought I'm
mm,
lost the plot. As I started getting older, I started embracing it more. By the time I was in my early 20s, I was learning mediumship. I was in the first government funded school for mediums and psychics in the UK.
mm,
And I done some work up on stage on platform doing mediumship readings.
mhm.
Then I stopped going, kind of gone more sucked into the 3D way of life. But
Yeah.
I never, the one thing that I've always been able to do is manipulate energy with my hands and hands-on healing. So that has always been like my foundation. So I'm a medium and an energy worker. And then I didn't start witchcraft until my 30s, where
Mhm.
I'd mentioned this before, where Hecate just turned up while I was there with my friends, pushed me all the way home, and then I could hear her talking in my mind. I didn't have a clue who she was. I'd done research, found out who she was. This is the goddess of witchcraft. So I was like, okay,
Mhm.
let's get into witchcraft. And I've been very successful with it. And I've grown strength from strength to strength very quickly with it.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, you could consider me maybe a baby witch.
Oh, I
Uh,
wouldn't say you were a baby witch, really,
actually,
because
go on.
yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say so because you've had all this experience. All right, maybe not witchcraft as in doing spells, but you still have this under your belt, this
Mm,
experience. I think for me, a lot of people I've encountered seem to have like some sort of awakening in their youth. I know I did, and then you
mhm,
you kind of fall out with it or whatever for a bit, and then you do come back. But
mm,
when you come back, it's like now
mhm.
it now's the
Yeah.
time.
Witchcraft is energy manipulation and also
Mhm.
like deity work. So I've already had the foundations pretty much mastered of, mastering my energy, being able to manipulate energy and also being able to speak to spirit. So I had a solid foundation to start with. So I think I did have, when I say baby witch, there's back years ago, you would have to be practicing for 10, 15 years to be considered an adept witch. I
Mhm.
think now back then they didn't have Google. You were lucky to get your hands on a book or even know these where to find information. And at this age, with all the information, is so easy for us to advance so much more quickly.
Mhm.
So even though in time I may be a baby witch, I feel that I've mastered quite a lot. Not
Mhm.
completely. There's always going to be more for me to learn. But
Mhm.
for the amount of time I've been practicing and the magic that I can do and the initiations I've I've been doing, it
Mhm.
is you could consider advanced for
Mhm.
sure. Hmm.
Well, I know since you said baby witch, I can predict the comments that
Hmm.
some people hate that term. I've had that
Hmm.
commented before, that people feel I'm going to use the word infantilizes, like it, you know, it makes it sound childish. It makes people sound childish, and I don't care personally. Like call people a baby witch. What's in a label, what's in a name to me, that's just me though. I know not everyone's like that, but
Hmm.
through my time at least, time isn't everything. Like I'm the same age as you, basically a few months
Hmm.
older. But back when I first started at 14, 15, all the books you could get were Wiccan based, and you know very limited info, as you say.
Hmm.
And even though that's the the case, what I'm trying to say is there are people now that just come on leaps and bounds compared to
Hmm.
maybe someone who's been doing it 30 odd years, you
Mhm.
know.
And this is why I wanted to bring it up. Don't let anyone ever knock your confidence or feel like you're not good enough because you haven't been practicing that long. I've seen and done some amazing witchcraft.
Mm,
And sometimes the more you know, it can kind of hinder you because you're overthinking it.
mm,
Sometimes some people just have a raw talent for it.
yeah,
And, your mental attitude and the reasons why you do things and how you do things all has an impact. You could have all the
yeah,
knowledge, occult and witchcraft knowledge in the world. Does that mean you're powerful? Does that mean you're going to get the results that you want? Definitely not, you know? So don't let the amount of years somebody's been practicing, make you feel that you're not as good as, or you're, inferior, they know better than you. Don't let them talk down to you. Because I
Mhm.
notice that quite a lot on social media,
Yeah. That's what I was
so
gonna say as well. Yeah.
like
I've
like like I'm in the Sefirot now. I've just recently crossed the abyss. Now, in Jewish tradition, only men in their 40s do that because of the risk of your mental health and psychosis. I've been practicing a few years since what, 4 years, 3 years, something like that, and now I've done it. So
mhm.
don't let anybody tell you what you're ready for or what you can't do. Your path is your path and what you're capable of. Don't let anyone tell you any different. There are warnings and things that you need to take into consideration, but don't let it hold you back.
I agree, and what I was gonna say is number one, like, yeah, I have been insulted myself in those ways. I started fully practicing in 2018. You know, to now, like, so what? That's 6 years. Is it 6 years? I
Mm-hmm.
don't know. Is it
Mm-hmm.
coming up seven soon? God, time flies.
Mm-hmm.
So you could say the same about me, if in that vein.
Yeah.
But I've been called, better than a Wiccan. I mean, I've mentioned this. I know, right? I've been called this, that I'm a novice. I don't know anything. There's nothing magical about me. Oh my God, I've had it all
Mm-hmm.
thrown at me. You know this because you're my friend. You've heard some of the things I've told you vaguely. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
but you know what? You just got to think,
Mm-hmm.
F you. But, people who throw well, isn't it? I don't know if it's a Christian saying here, but people who live in glass houses should not throw stones. And that is something Hecate has taught me, and probably you, that you can get taken down a peg or two when people get on their high horses. Because I've been on a high horse myself, and she shows me, you get humbled. Like,
Yeah.
my
It's,
example is the cliff off thing.
mm-hmm.
I would have died on the hill that Hecate cannot initiate you onto the cliff off. And well, she
Finish
can, anyone can
Sephiroth.
technically.
Mm-hmm.
And the Sephiroth, from first-hand experience. But I would have died on the hill once. No, she's got nothing to do with that, so I've been humble too. And also, just to quickly say, and I'll let you talk, sorry, that all the books, this is something people forget, that there's something called book smart. People learn in different ways. And yes, you can read a million bloody books. You can read a library. You can read the whole library. But if you don't do the practice, if you don't do the work in the books, then you're just a bookworm sort of thing. Yes, the good to get knowledge from and different points of view. But what's that? You know what I mean? I think there's a lot of people like that. I don't know what you think.
Armchair occultists, and it's
Yeah.
usually it's something. Why I brought this up is something that's going around on TikTok at the moment. So, shaming baby witches, and I've noticed why I want to talk about it. I don't tell people how long I've been practicing because they'll be like, oh, she ain't been practicing long. She doesn't know what she's doing, and almost devalue me because of it.
Mm.
When I don't want to toot my own horn here, but my magic works good. It really does,
Oh
and
yeah, I know firsthand.
mhm. And then even saying that is like, oh, she thinks she's something because you're confident in
No.
your magic as well. So there's a lot of opinions, negative opinions in this space, unfortunately, that hinder people's growth. You can't be too confident, um, can't be too good too soon in your practice. You don't know too much because you haven't
Hmm.
had the experience.
Hmm. But then if you're not confident, then you don't know anything and you're fake and blah
You
blah blah.
can't win.
Hmm.
My friend done a video that he had a very good point. He said all the centuries that we haven't been able to practice and just do what we do. And
Mm-hmm.
yet we all are ripping each other down. It's hard enough with the other, let's just say, religions or cultures ripping us down.
Mm-hmm.
Why are we going at each other?
Exactly.
We should be supporting each other just because we have a clash in opinions, lifestyles, way we practice. We should still respect each other's paths.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm. So it's just a shame to see how, if you've got nothing nice to say, keep it to yourself. Just keep it moving. I don't agree with a lot of things I see, but I don't make it my business to go out my way and be like, you're wrong. This
Mm-hmm.
is this is wrong. And it's such a shame to see because, we could be such a powerful community that can create and manipulate things on a mass scale, and yet we're fighting each other
Yeah.
because of
And I
egos.
think, well, for me personally, I know Hecate has taught me. I mean, this is why we've got this podcast. This is
Mhm.
why I'm starting it. This is obviously episode one. She doesn't see things like there's all sorts of different theories on her. There's all sorts of different paths towards just her. Never mind anything else. And each to their own, as long as you're not harming anyone else, sort of thing. And I know that's a grey area, but she doesn't like needless violence and BS. That's not her. Uh,
Mhm.
but honestly, like each to their own. Do what makes you happy, sort of thing. That there is, like you say, a lot of opinions, and
And that's okay. That's okay.
yeah, and we can have a difference in opinion. This is the thing. Like I've reacted to people on this channel that I've had differences in opinion with, and that's fine. And we've both gone our own ways and agree to disagree. You know, but then sometimes it's gone the other way. And I'm not naming names, and we're not going to get into that or anything. But sometimes people take it way personal. You know.
Yeah, like everyone's got a right to their opinion. It's how you approach. It's how you say it.
Yeah.
As long as you're not being like rude, insulting, and things like that, it's okay to say what you think and feel. So it's the
Yeah.
way people go about it that makes me
Just
sad.
live and let live. If you can't, all right, say your piece. Okay, move along. I get it all the time. A recent video of mine was about why witches convert, and someone commented on there saying it's funny demons only go in the name of Jesus, and I'm like, well, actually, no, they don't. What you on about?
You don't
But
do
each
any
their
of
own. Whatever. Get on with it. I said my bit. Bye. Know. And that's the way it should be in a way, even though I don't agree with that. So, when you said you started out as a medium and stuff, uh, so what did that involve? Like, did you do it in front of an audience? Like, I'm not a medium like that. I do have mediumship abilities myself, but I've never been trained in, say, spiritualist church or something like that, or whatever it is. So, do you want to share a bit more about that? I'm
Yeah,
curious.
sure. That's where I started because it's different to how it is now. 14, 15 years ago, things were very different. So to learn these types of things, you would go to what's called as a circle, a closed circle, where you'd have to be invited in. And there
Mm-hmm.
would be a medium that was quite advanced or been practicing for 20 odd years. And they would have a small group of people and they would
Mm.
teach. So we first off it'd be like psychic things, meeting your guides, guided meditations, and then once you built your foundations, then we do readings on each other. So we would a spirit would come in and then they
Mm.
would teach you how to use your senses. And I was taught to almost build my own kind of language with spirit. So my main abilities is seeing and feeling. I can
Mm-hmm.
hear that came in later. So, for example, I would see there was a structure to giving a reading. Who have you got with you? You would explain who they are, validate them. So that would be giving birthdays, something recently happened, what was the last words, or how did they pass away? Things like what did they pass away with? And I would get impressions of
Mm,
my body, and they'd show me things. So it's who's there, validate them. What's the message that they've
mhm,
come forward to bring, and then you close it up. So that's how I learned. And yeah, I would do them one to one. I would do them in a spiritual church,
mhm.
um, up on platform. That's what we call it around here, is platform work. And yeah, that's how I learned. And then don't do mediumship so much these days. It's not the part of my practice I'm most passionate about. But what I
Yeah,
have got from that is now that, I am able to communicate with spirit. And I more when I'm doing any type of mediumship or in the occult world, they call it like death work.
yeah,
Is crossing over spirits. That's what I do
yeah.
more than anything. I can do readings and things, but it's not what I enjoy the most.
Not
I'll
what you
do it to help
want
people
to.
if I need
Yeah. Yeah, it's what you're drawn to, isn't it? Like I'm hence that divination, which is just a username really, but that's my passion, helping pass messages on. That's me. I like doing that. And it's not just from dead people. I do it, you know, deities, pets even. Oh God, I love doing the pet readings. It's so cute. Uh,
Well, the first
even
spirits, oh, well, sorry.
oh no, it's okay. Like even like spirit guides and people's higher selves, even. It's not always talking to a third party sort of thing. But I know you're going to say something, but I did actually have a question out of my own curiosity. Is when you're on, is it the pulpit? You say, is it the pulpit? Is that platform? Pulpit's a blooming it's a Protestant Christian thing that. But when you're on platform in the church, see, growing up, I've been to a spiritualist church a couple of times, so I've witnessed it. I've been in the room when they're drawn to people. But how does that look from your point of view? Like if you got a room of 30 people or whatever, like what the heck?
While I'm waiting to go up, there's usually a speaker there. So while they're waiting to go up, I'm already talking in my head. So I'll have my spirit guide would be helping me, because sometimes these spirits that you're dealing with had never came through and communicated before.
Mhm,
So I already know who I'm going to. I can feel a pull to this person, and nobody else is there. Nobody else matters. I just feel this pull, and I'm like, is that person there? So sometimes, like as I said, I build my own language with them. So, for example, if I saw a wedding ring, that doesn't mean marriage to me. That means commitment. So all these
mhm,
different things, like they would show me images that would mean things, so I could they'd paint me a picture basically.
mhm.
And they would even like walk me through the house, so I could tell the layout of the house and things like that. But even my mum came to see me one time,
Oh,
and she said, "Is it real? Did you really just do that?" I was like, "Mum, you've just seen all of these people turn up out of nowhere. It'd be one, you know, quite advanced scam." She was like, "Wow, that was brilliant."
yeah,
So even, but yeah, so that's how much it'd be. I'd probably do about four or five readings, and I wouldn't do a lot,
yeah.
um, you know. But
That's quite
yeah,
a lot though for a whole room of people, and I think it is anyways, because I know how much energy that takes. It
mhm,
takes a lot.
mm.
Uh,
I'd feel their conditions. If they had a heart attack, I'd have a stabbing pain in my heart. I'd be like, and you got to
mhm.
stay professional. You're up in front of people, and you'd be like, "Oh my God, take that off." But sometimes I wouldn't understand what they're saying, and you stood there, you're thinking, "Right, I'm looking like a bit of an idiot here," and I'd have to call my
Yeah,
spirit guide in, and my spirit guide would be like, "Right, this is what he's saying," and the guide would mediate between me and them.
mm,
Um, because I'd start like panicking, thinking, "Oh my God, what's going on? I'm not getting what I need," and
yeah. It's a
stood here,
pressure.
and
It's
everybody's
like
looking
stage
at me.
fright.
Yeah, and then once you start getting nervous, it impacts my energy, so I can't connect with them because I've dropped in vibration. So it was an amazing thing to learn, but it's not,
Yeah,
you know.
not your thing. But
Yeah.
I do have one more question.
Mhm.
So, are you still in contact with your spirit guide? I know we've met through Hecate, and I know about some of your other spirits. It's your personal thing, but I just wondered.
No, I don't work with them anymore directly. Not to say they're not around me and they don't help me. I'm sure they do. But no, I don't work with them.
Hmm.
No. Hmm. My nan was a spirit guide of mine for quite some time. Since I've started doing the deity work, I've found that my ancestors are still around. They still help me, my mum and my nan. But
Hmm.
maybe, maybe the guides are a bit redundant now because I'm very close with my deities. I do have a quite busy team. I work with, since in the Sefirot, I've worked with insane amount of deities, angels, all
Hmm.
sorts of beings. So it's not that they're not there. I just don't have the time for them. And anything that I need, I'm working with all sorts of different deities. My main
Yeah.
team is Hecate, Asmodeus, Belial, and Baal. Set, he's one of my patrons, but I don't have the closest relationship with him. And as you know, since I've been in the Sephiroth, I've lost count of the
Mhm.
amount of deities, angels from all different pantheons. They'll come to me, and I'll usually work with them for a week or two. And as soon as I've learned what they come in to teach me, they move on, and somebody else comes in. And while being in the Sephiroth, I've worked with beings like Azazel, Santa Morte, um, Azrael, the angel of death, Freya. Um, the list is endless.
Freya,
So
you've mentioned
Freya,
that now. Don't you shoot that look at me.
no,
Oh
you
my
didn't want me
goodness.
to tell the story, did you?
Well, I won't if you don't want me to. If it makes, does it make you
I don't mind.
uncomfortable?
I don't mind. It's just a bit embarrassing. So, um,
Sorry, right, I
when
have to get me laugh out.
when I was in Hod in the Sackfox working last sphere, I've done most of it working in astral. So I was lucky enough to get an invite to Freya's realm. Got what it's called. Was it called, Sarah?
Folkvanger, I might have pronounced that wrong.
So I got invited there to learn astral warfare. To how to protect myself, how to fight parasites and negative entities in the astral. So that's what she taught me. So she took me to her realm and she was teaching me things. And there was a big, what are they called, longhouses? I
Yeah.
still struggle with the name. So that's what it is. I came back, and when I was telling Sarah about it, I was like, Freya took me to a shack.
A shack.
A shack.
I
I think that's the closest
died.
I've ever been to being smited.
Well, you would have been in the love shack. Like Freya cracked that joke. So it was just the other night it got brought up again. Freya, we were on the phone for something, and Freya, we were doing a reading or something. I forgot why. But it got brought up again, and Freya has an amazing sense of humor. I thought, plumbing heck, she is an intense, powerful lady. Don't get me wrong, but she can crack a joke with the best of them, and that got brought up again, and Freya was the one that called it the Love Shack, like that song, Love Shack. And it's just to give context as well for anyone who isn't on the Norse path or doesn't know anything about it. In Norse belief, when you die an honorable death in battle as a warrior, everyone's basically heard of Valhalla. That's Odin's hall, that's the idea of heaven. But actually, Freya got first pick, and her Valkyries will come and pick the warriors. And so, Folkvanger, which I've probably butchered that's her hall. It's utopia. It's meant to be the best reward you could ever have.
I
And
called it a shack.
it's the love shack. Yeah, the shack.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
So I don't like that. That was just funny. It's yeah, but it's an inside joke now. The shack.
mm-hmm, the shack.
The shack.
I was
But
dying of embarrassment. I was like, Fran, I'm so sorry. Like she's so fierce and so strong. And she's a warrior. Like she does not play.
mhm.
Her energy is insanely fierce. And there's me calling one of the greatest halls a shack. It's the closest I think it's the closest I've ever been to being smited.
But this, we've talked about
Like,
it on other things. Like, Deities are so understanding. She thought it was hilarious because she knew you
mhm,
didn't get it.
I know.
You
Yeah.
didn't
And
say that out of disrespect.
I thought a lot, I was trying to make myself a bit feel better. I'm like, it can't be that bad. Let's Google a shack. And then one of the good pictures that came up that I sent you wasn't, I was like, even
A
worse
shack, this
now.
decrepit little shed.
Oh, it was beautiful. I'll say it was huge. There was furs, there was fires, there was people like practicing fighting outside, and yeah,
B-52s were there singing Love
it
Shack.
was beautiful. It was very beautiful. Mhm.
So, what about your journey on the Sephiroth? What has this incredible lady that started as a medium and now she's a Hecatean witch? And what business has this woman got going on the Sephiroth? What's that about? What drew you to that?
Yeah, so I just wanted to be the best version of myself, and I'd never actually worked with angels. And not I'd done it because of that, but there was something inside of me that I drew the Sephiroth when I first started out. And then I read about it in the abyss and it scared me and I put this drawing away for years. And then it was just something in my soul, in my heart that was just calling me like, do it, do it, do it, do it, do it. So I'd never even worked with angels. I'd been on the left hand path, working with infernals and death gods and things like that. So never even worked with angels. And the next thing you know, I'm in astral and it just happened like that. I how did it happen? Oh, when I first went into there, so I was with Hecate and Uriel, and I climbed this ladder, which I now know is Jacob's ladder, the ladder to heaven. Climbed this ladder, and they showed me something. They opened it was a big book on like this pillar thing, and as I open it, I see an old roundhouse, and I get pulled into this book, and next thing you know, I'm actually in a past life, and I got to watch myself die basically in a past life as an old, bitter old woman. It was absolutely horrible. And I was starving, I was skinny, and I had a hard life. There was no men around, they'd all died and things like that. So they showed me that to show me, struggle, you're stronger and things. So that's how it started. But I am in the last but one sphere now. I've crossed the abyss. And it was really just to know myself. And I wanted to take break the chains from everything that was holding me back, you know. And I got to work with angels, which they're actually quite hard to work with. They can be harder than infernals. And I've had a great relationship with them. You hear, oh, you can't work with angels and demons and da 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 da. You have to pick a side. From my experience, you don't at all. I must be honest, though, the hardest sphere I worked was Tippereth, and it's supposed to be all about beauty. And there was nothing beautiful about it, if I'm honest. I was with Raphael, which, Raphael and Asmodeus don't get on, and I'm thinking, is he making this hard on me on purpose? But, even in that sphere, like I got made redundant twice. My cousin ended their life. I lost a friendship that meant a lot to me. I failed an important test. So I've been put through my paces. And then crossing the abyss was, I've told you about, it was
You told
very hard
me.
and quite scary. Yeah, it was easy going in there, and I enjoyed being in there. But when it came to the event of me coming out, that was very intense and very hard. But I've loved, even though it's been insanely hard in some ways and really easy in others. Like the bits I thought would be hard have been easy, and the bits I thought would be easy would be hard. But
Mhm.
even with the hard bits, I've loved every single minute of it, and the person I've grown into from doing this. So I don't regret it at all. And I've loved working with the angels. Um, it's been an amazing experience for me. Mhm.
So, is there any is there anything you'd recommend to work with angels? Because I've had this question on the channel before. So if you're interested in angel magic, or not just magic, but a spiritual journey with them, so what would you recommend?
If you're going to work with angels, just know that they don't have the same type of logic as we do, as the you could say the other gods do or the infernals do. They they are 100% logical, but their logic and our logic is completely different.
Mm-hmm.
And they are not gentle. They're very kind and caring and compassionate towards you. But when it comes to making changes in your life, it can be quite rash. Um, but everyone's experience and path with these beings are going to be different. So if you're on the left-hand path and you've never worked with angels before because you're told by the community that you can't, that's not true. And they're not going to treat you any different because you work with infernals or anything like that, which I thought they would.
Mm-hmm.
If you're new starting out with them, I would say they bring about great change suddenly and can be quite harsh,
Mm-hmm.
but they always work for the greater good and feel betterment.
Mm-hmm.
So it could be painful. It could hurt a bit and be like, this is not what I asked for.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to be very literal as well. And people think angels are all love and light, and that is not true. They
Mm-hmm.
can be just as wrathful. You can work with them for curses, vengeance, the same as gods and infernals.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so everyone, the angels are. A lot of people think that that they all work with Yahweh when that's not true.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them are loyal to him, some are not. There are different levels of angels as well. So there's not just the typical archangels. There's a lot. There's sham angels, things like that. And there's celestials. So I wouldn't say anything bad about them from my experience.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, I mean, I was going to ask, but you've answered it about, when people think they're all fluffy and stuff.
You know,
No, in
no.
my experience, I mean, I've seen fluffy sides to them. I don't know if I ever told you this one. I did a reading for someone. It was a pet reading, and the Archangel Muriel came through, who is, I didn't realize. Oh, no, it wasn't Muriel. It was Ariel. Sorry, my bad.
I'm
Got them
thinking,
mixed up.
real.
Well, Muriel, I've got an auntie called Muriel, but I know that's an angel's name. I don't know why I was thinking of Muriel. Probably, I don't know why. Let's start this story again. So it was Ariel, like the Little Mermaid,
Mhm.
but Angel Ariel, I didn't realize was the angel of animals. So I did this pet reading, and very sadly, someone's parrot had passed away. And what I saw, Lauren, it was like a paradise. It was like this jungly paradise. It was like rainbows in the sky, and but it was a big aviary, so they couldn't like run away, sort of thing. They were in this safe utopia for birds. And even the birds that didn't get along in life, because parrots can be a bit of a bully sometimes, like the bigger ones, and they were just all getting along and all very happy and chirpy. And these birds were there, and Muriel, I said it again, Ariel, just had all these birds. Like she appeared as a young lady, a bit like, I guess the stereotype you would think of Artemis or someone, but she had like just a white dress on, and she had just birds all down her. I was gonna say arms, but it was wings. Like they were just all perched on her, and she was just like, it was just so fluffy and nice. So they do have that side, but then they also have the side where I mean, me personally, no offense here, but that time I saw Gabriel, he looked like a Gillette razor because he looked like, yeah, those men's razors with all the circles on. It just looked like eyeballs and
And
circles and
yeah,
this human body with eyes.
I understand what you mean. Like Uriel is my guide through the Uriel. Yeah,
See,
Uriel.
you're getting the names
You're
wrong too.
confusing me now. Yeah,
Muriel, Uriel, Ariel.
Uriel is my guide through the Sefirot. Essentially, he is the gatekeeper of it, and I know when he's around because I see a sword. I've seen Gabriel as like a mirage. You know, like
Mhm,
when you see heat waves coming off the ground or of a radiator or something. I've seen that,
mhm.
but with like faded eyes in it. Other than that, I don't see
Mm,
angels. Where I see the
mm,
other gods or infernals, I feel them and I can hear them. But when I met Asriel, if you search him, it says anybody who lays eyes upon him goes insane.
mm.
So when
Oh,
he turned up in my space, I actually felt my psyche go sideways. I thought, I do not feel right. I feel like I've had a real brush with insanity for a second. And I just heard Asriel in my head. And I was like you, and then I Googled it, seen that with the insanity thing. I thought, damn, you could have just said your name, you know?
yeah.
I was like, I didn't feel okay. I was like, I feel blinking terrible beer. But it was for me to know.
He's
I was like,
intense,
you could have
very.
just said your name.
Azriel, like I know he was the first angel I encountered for somebody else. I haven't spoke about him yet on the channel, but I was shocked. He was, but it makes sense, and I figured he was doing it maybe to protect me because of this insanity thing. He can be frosty as hell.
Oh yeah,
He
he's the angel
one
of
word
death.
answers, and well, yeah,
He's the angel of
exactly.
death. Mm-hmm,
But
mm-hmm.
even though he's the angel of death, though, other death gods aren't always frosty. Thanatos is so lovely. Like, I'm not saying Asriel's not lovely.
Yeah. Mm-hmm,
Yeah,
they can be. Um, Raziel, who I'm in his sphere now, he's known to be very frosty. And I always remember we were speaking
yeah.
with him before, and I was like, does he like me? And he was like, no.
Don't like
Nobody's ever
anyone.
said that. But like as time gone on, I make cracker jokes and I say, "Oh, we'll be friends one day," and we do seem to get on very well. And I was just think, "Oh, he doesn't like me." You know, I've never had that before. But they're just very direct, and
They are.
they can come across as cold, but they're not. They just
You,
operate completely different to us. But
they
I've really
do. You're
enjoyed working
right.
with them.
Actually, it
Even
makes sense.
Raphael, because
Yeah.
you know, Asmodeus, he doesn't like his practitioners working with Raphael, if to be brutally honest. So, out of respect for him and his law, I haven't. So, when it came to me working in his sphere, I was looking forward to it. And I spoke to Asmodeus. I was like, "Are you okay with this?" He's like, "Yeah, fine. Like, it's all good." And we actually got on really well. And I thought he wouldn't like me because, you know, I'm a practitioner of Asmodeus's. I did have a rough time in his sphere, sure, but no, we got on really well. You
Yeah.
know. Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Trying to think. Aniel, she was lovely. Zadkiel, I didn't actually meet him in Sephiroth in his sphere. I worked with Set because I worked with other gods in there as well. I worked with Set and who else was there? I can't remember now. There's so many. But that's the only one I haven't met in there. I've met Metatron, even though his sphere's next. But yeah, I've had a brilliant experience working with them.
yeah. I just learned today as well
Mhm.
because I did a deity confirmation. I know this is getting off track. We're talking about angels now, but I did a
Mhm.
deity confirmation for someone, and one of the deities, well, was an angel, Sandalphon. And you'll have met Sandalphon. He's in Malkuth, the first sphere. But
Yeah,
Sandalphon, I didn't realize,
he's
is
human.
sometimes said to be Metatron's brother. That they were
Mhm.
both once human, and
Mhm.
the story of Metatron, it's basically he was Enoch once upon a time, and then he became an angel, whatever.
Mhm.
And apparently that's the same for Sandalphon. And it's
Mhm.
just funny how it's like you've got
I think he was
one
supposed to be
brother at
Noah.
each gate,
Is it?
basically.
I'm sure some people say he might be Noah or another biblical person.
I'm
I
not
may
sure.
wife is Noah, but is another biblical name that we know of. There's a
Yeah.
few different stories as to who they are, but I
Well,
found him
it's
to
just
be very
funny.
tall, looking like a wizard.
Yeah. He looked like a wizard, did you say?
To me, yeah,
That's
it's very cool.
it's funny, when you said you don't see angels. Well, when he came through for this person for me, just doing the reading, like I didn't see anything, to be honest. No, I
Mm.
just felt it. So makes sense. But I just thought it was funny you've got the brothers at each end of the spectrum, because I remember
Mhm.
Metatron told me for you on a reading I did for you that he was the gatekeeper, wasn't he? The record keeper. He'll ask questions or something. I don't know. That's not my
Yeah.
business. So we've had our chat. Thank you. So we've had
Mhm.
our chat, Lauren, and
My
we've talked
lights gone
all
out.
about the world, literally. We've talked about mediumship, witchcraft, deities, angels, Sephiroth, everything. Uh, and it just goes to show, I think, this is what Hecate wanted. I know this is only the first episode, but you can't just put someone in a box. All right, you might say they're a witch or whatever.
Mhm.
Everyone's different. Everyone's got different opinions, different
Mhm.
experiences, and sometimes experiences you wouldn't even think of. So we're all unique in our own ways, and there's no right and wrong answer in that. We've got to find our own way and be happy, etc. Don't know how else to say that. That's what she's teaching me right now. So I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Thank you, Lauren. Thanks so much for
Welcome.
participating and being the
Thank you
guinea
for
pig.
having me again.
No problemo, my pal Dingo. I don't know why I've said that. Oh, the awkwardness. Anyways, if you like this, you know what to do. Hit subscribe if you made it this far. If you want to be on the podcast, hit me up. Check out my link tree. You can contact me on my website or my email address. It's all on there. It doesn't matter if you've got a following. If you are willing to be on this podcast and grilled off yours truly, then you're welcome. All right. So until next time, stay safe, stay witchy,